Thank you, Graham. That was a great introduction, and you hit the nail on the head. All right. All right. My question to all of us is, who's got anger? I know I do. Like Graham mentioned, it's been a personal problem my entire life. I have actively been working on anger for over 25 years. This material has been some of the best, some of the most fruitful that I've encountered. Some of us are very familiar with anger, maybe even embrace it. Others treat it like 3-day-old roadkill, avoid it at all costs. This course will help us to understand it better, developing tools and practices that build relationship. That's been our experience. As Graham mentioned, that some couples may be wanting their spouse to pay more attention to this material. But one of the things that we found is that learning about anger, we've developed a way to dovetail our anger so that it works together for us in our relationship. And that is our desire, is that help you as well. As you understand anger more, you can better relate as a couple. All right, so want to give a shout out to Chip in this material, as Graham shared earlier. It's from the book Overcoming Emotions That Destroy. Fantastic material. If it resonates with you, we encourage you to do that material as a couple, small group, etc. Both of us have done it more than once, and each time we get more out of it. Okay, let's see if we can look at anger from the Bible. All right. Thank you, Stephanus. Many of us know this story of Jesus' display of anger. Yet we also know that he did not sin. In church, we often hear that anger is bad and we shouldn't express it. I get that, as almost 100% of the time that when I express anger, I am doing so in sin. Yet, both God and Jesus got angry multiple times and did not sin. Later in the course, we will look at our call to be angry. But first, we will look at our call to be slow to be angry. There we go. Okay. So, anger is an emotion, and emotions are a gift from God. It turns out that they can be used for good but also be harmful. We have all experienced anger that has gone bad. As we look at this familiar verse from the first chapter of James, we are exhorted to watch out for anger. It will rush us into bad behavior. We are encouraged to slow down to bring about the righteous life that God desires. Please turn to page 8 in the study guide for a list of common anger triggers. Please look through it and see if you can identify 2 or 3 items that maybe apply with yourself.
And they are also on the handout. But you will want to be looking over the study guide with your spouse, because there's some things that are in the guide that are not on the handout.
Okay. So first, from the positive side, here's the definition of anger. Does this definition surprise anyone? I know I was confused at how something that is morally neutral could cause me so much trouble. As I learned more from this material, it helped understand what anger truly is. Positively, anger helps us when there is injustice. It prompts a healthy response to motivate us to action. As we saw in this video, Jesus, we know the famous line, the vendors in the temple court were a den of thieves. And so he wanted to remove that injustice that was happening. Historically, it's also what motivated the abolitionists to bring an end to slavery in the 1800s. In this passage of Ephesians, we are exhorted not to sin in our anger, as it gives the devil a foothold. Note that it does not say, don't get angry, but rather it says not to sin when we do get angry, acknowledging that we all are going to experience anger. All right, let's move on to the anger we're most familiar with. Negative anger. This is the anger most of us experience, and as I mentioned, I've been working on it for 25 plus years. There are three general categories that it falls under: hurt, frustration, personal attacks. Multiple verses in the Bible cover this. For sake of time, we're not going to go into them now, but in future sessions, we are going to share tools that help with each of these categories. All right, now I'm going to transition to Lori-Kate, to where we delve into the masks of anger.
Thank you, baby. And now we're going to jump ahead to page 14 in the study guide, or again, you can just use your handout. We are often deceived by anger because we have a small category of what we think anger is. So on the left-hand side, you may say, yeah, that's easy, that's anger. Asserting power, that's anger. But the middle column and the column to the right are where Dr. Becca Johnson and Chip actually say, no, these are expressions of angers. Like Graham shared at the beginning, he didn't know he had an anger problem. That's going to be probably about 2/3 of you. We'll go through the three masks, but that's how you express your anger. These are some of the buckets. So hopefully you can see yourself in at least one of those buckets. What's the first mask? So the first mask is spewer. And this is what I am. And there's two general types of spewers. There's the out-of-control spewer, which everyone knows when I'm angry. There's no mystery, right? The other type of spewer is the manipulative, domineering, intimidating spewer. So they may not be yelling, but the tone of voice that they're using, they're trying to control the situation. Now, the message that as spewers we typically get is anger is necessary and often justified. Our reaction to that is, well, you bet I'm mad. I'm angry and I have a right to be angry. But what happens when you're a spewer? What kind of damage do you do to yourself and to others? Thank you, babe. So the reason is, and this is where you can see the full list in the study guide, it's often a power issue. We are trying to yell to gain control of the situation. Now, it never works, but we keep trying. Sometimes it's pent-up emotions that we're trying to release. So there's a variety of reasons that we get into about why we spew, but those are the general categories. Now, the expressions of spewing, if you have a spewer in your life, it's pretty easy to recognize. There may be yelling, there may be aggression, there may be intimidation, right? These are all what people think about anger is usually what you describe as when a spewer is spewing. And Chip has these great hand signs. So the first one is spewer. So I am spewing, right? So what happens then is the result is we wound themselves and others. We often feel really guilty about what we've just done. We have been trying to control ourselves, but we don't know how to do it. And so what happens is sometimes relationships are actually ended because we've done so much damage to the relationship. And it breaks our heart Because what we're trying to do is get control of the relationship. We're not usually intentionally trying to hurt someone. Now, what do spewers need? Now, if you're a spewer, this list doesn't really give you a lot of hope. Sure, I know I'm supposed to not get angry. Sure, I know I need to control it. I need to develop a longer fuse. But you've been trying and you don't know how to do it, and I was that person. What I want to say is to give you hope that if you keep coming back, we'll give you tools to help you work on controlling your anger. And for me, one of the big ones is I've learned that not saying anything is a guaranteed way of not spewing. So I hold my tongue a lot more. Now, on the handouts or in the book, there's a spewer assessment. So what we'd like everyone to do is take out a pen or pencil and start reading through the list. Now, we want you to do this quickly. Don't give a lot of thought to it because we're going to move through quickly. Just start circling if it occasionally happens to you. Has anyone ever mentioned this to you, or would your spouse say this about you? So what you're looking for is about how many of them are you getting? And don't worry, your spouse already knows whether or not you do these things. They may know it better than you do. So, do you think you're a spewer? Yes, no, or maybe. Now we're on page 16 in the study guide if you're going through that. Now, the next mask is a stuffer. So again, spewer, stuffer. There again are two types of stuffers. Their first reaction is to deny it or to pretend it didn't happen. Their message is anger is bad. Now, many times a stuffer has had a parent who was a spewer. And so anger was unsafe in the house, or you were told we don't get angry, or you fear the wrath of God. There are a lot of reasons, but the message they get is anger is bad. So they're doing everything they can not to get angry. And the classic response is, angry? Not me, I'm fine. Classic response to a stuffer. Now, looking at I talked a little bit about why they fear it, and this is at the bottom of 16. They also fear embarrassment and losing control. I wish that had motivated me enough to not spew. Anyway, expressions are at the top of page 17. They are doing everything that they can to not get angry, whether or not it's safe, whether or not it's feeling bad. And again, church has taught this, don't get angry often. And Chip quotes Paul Meyer, 95% of all depression is anger turned inward. So what happens is the results of the stuffer is they often are directing anger at themselves. Spewers tend to direct anger out. Stuffers tend to direct anger internally. Now, what happens is they can get physical ailments, they develop resentments, and they also tend to avoid the issue, the person, or the place. This is where someone suddenly may not be your friend anymore because they don't want to express that they're upset with something that you do. And so they'll say, I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed. I'm irritated. I'm annoyed. But I am not angry. Thank you. Thanks, baby. So the next one is please look over the self-assessment for the stuffer. And this is on page 18 in the study guide. And again, quickly read through them. Now, some of you may be circling a bunch, and you circled a bunch on spewer. That's okay, just keep spewing. Circling. We all have a primary mask, but we tend to have a secondary mask as well. So again, do you think you're a stuffer? Yes, no, or maybe. And One of the other characteristics of stuffers is sometimes they have volcanic explosion or outbursts. And this is where it can get tricky to be, am I a spewer or a stuffer? And we'll continue to talk about these, but just because you get angry and yell does not make you a stuffer. Thank you. Cody's secondary mask is he's a leaker, which he'll share in a minute, and then he spews. But the difference with stuffers who occasionally explode is it's not their first MO. It's like they pent up, then explode. Whereas spewers, we know we're angry, and we tend to just explode.
As a leaker, I've tried to suppress, tried to stuff, and it reaches a point where I can't keep it in anymore, and so it's coming out like this. So what does that mean? As I said, it's not safe to show anger. So I'm going through a number of squirrely behaviors to try to keep it from coming out. The first one that I do is denial. I'm going to say, there's no anger here. I'm not angry. The next one is deflect. I'm going to say, no, you're wrong. That's not anger. And then the third thing is blame shift. I'm going to go, oh, that's not what I meant, or it's someone else's fault. All right, so some of the expressions that will come out of leakers like myself are not following through, being flaky or unreliable, playing ignorant or the victim, sarcasm or critical comments, and that's where this side motion comes from. We can be passive aggressive with comments or behaviors. And then finally, withdrawal. We just want to get away from the situation. So with all these expressions, it's a false sense of control that we're trying to set up. And in a relationship, these behaviors can be very, aggravating. Now, I do want to go along with that. As a leaker, I found it helped me in both school and the workplace. Because in school, and it wasn't safe to be angry or wrong, so I worked hard and hunkered down and studied hard and to try to do well in school. I got rewarded for that. Same thing in the workplace. My boss loved that I was unemotional, worked hard, hunkered down, and got things done. Didn't want to be wrong. So worked really well in school and in work. But in relationship, not so much. It drove Lori-Kate crazy with some of my behaviors. Yeah. All right, so now we'll do the assessment for leakers. So go through the list and just quickly go by your first reaction on any of these items and circle it.
So again, are you a leaker? Yes, no, or maybe. What I've done here in this table is in the handout, so it's not in the study guide, is I've summarized the things and then actually allowed you to compare them. Another way to think about it is you're struggling with what mask you have, which is pretty common. Think about a work review. So for example, if you are a stuffer and you have never heard from work that you are too aggressive, you're a little blunt, this and that probably means you're not a spewer. Those are types of things that I got to hear. Now, on the expressions, the difference between the stuffer and the leaker, Cody would say that stuffers are trying to keep it in, leakers just can't keep it in, so it comes out sideways, right? But what this does to every relationship is every mask kills intimacy. So if you're a spewer, it's easy, right? You are either yelling at someone or trying to control them. No one likes to be controlled. That is not how you draw into your spouse. For the stuffer, they withdraw. They might go binge watching. They might, well, I need more time to really tell you why I'm so upset, but that time can last for days, right? What happens is when you're a stuffer, you're not engaging, you're withdrawing because you don't feel comfortable, right? Now, leakers, those sarcastic comments, they hurt. They hurt. And so again, it hurts intimacy. Next slide. So the needs you'll see of the stuffer and the leaker are the same. They need to learn how to express anger appropriately, and they also need to learn that anger is something biblical. That is what Jesus did. It is what God is. Anger is okay. The spewer needs to control the anger, and again, I promise with all these things, there are tools that have really changed our lives. So in summary, what the material that Chip and Dr. Becca Johnson have presented is that everyone gets angry, we just express it differently. So if you get upset and then decide you need to be alone and you don't talk to your spouse for a while, it's still an expression, whether or not you call it anger, irritation, frustration, or being annoyed, right? Again, the second bullet is a pretty hard concept when people first hear it. I know it was for me. That anger isn't bad. It's morally neutral. There are positive expressions of anger, and that is where anytime you're standing up for an injustice, that's a positive expression of anger, that you're trying to change a situation. We all are very familiar with the negative expressions of anger. We all tend to have a mask, and we tend to have a primary mask. And we promise again that there are tools that we will teach you from Chip that help you work through these things. Now, a little bit about how it works in marriages. So for us, obviously I'm the spewer, right? I am quick-tempered. I am quick to want to change something immediately. But what Cody is he's always calmer, right? He wants to, well, I'm not sure if we should react. So a situation came up where we were both upset, but I was upset with how a caregiver was communicating with us about his father, my father-in-law, right? So I wanted to address it. And he's like, I agree with you, but I don't think we should do anything about that right now. And he gave me his reasons why. We did that 3 times. And you know what? At the end, a better solution came than we had even prayed about. So he was right to no, this isn't a situation that we need to address right away. Now, with myself and with him, I see his anger about 50% of the time before he does. He has given me permission to say, baby, can I bring something up? I think you might be angry. And then he'll look at it, and once he acknowledges the anger, then it goes away. That tends to be like a spewer and a stuffer or leaker. What's going on? So whoever starts it doesn't matter, but at least one person usually starts yelling and the other one just takes off, right? What happens with stuffer relationships or leaker or stuffer leaker? And this is Chip Ingram, and he'll talk to you about it. And if you watch the videos, which we encourage, or read the book, something happens, you ignore the situation for a couple days, and then you pretend like it never happened, right? Now, the great thing is there's no yelling, and that's positive, and that's what you want, but you're also not addressing that issue, the underlying issue that needs to be done. So we want to say we're thrilled to be up here. This has completely transformed our marriage, and we just have real hope that it can do so for you as well. And now we're going to go to discussion. So on the last page of the study guide, there are 7 questions, and we are up here. So if you're really struggling with what mask you have, please feel free to come up and we're happy to talk to you or talk to you afterwards. Thank you.